Exposed, the heartwarming moment my parents transformed when they discovered I married a 5B CEO. Emma's heart raced as she stood in the kitchen, stirring the mashed potatoes, the air filled with the buttery aroma that reminded her of family dinners growing up. It was the moment she'd been waiting for tonight. She would finally introduce Lucas to her parents, the man she loved. But as she glanced at the clock, nerves gnawed at her belly. Would they accept him? Would they be able to see past the dollar signs plastered next to his name? Her father, a proud veteran, sat in his favorite armchair, brows furrowed and expression stern. In his eyes, values were carved deep: hard work, humility, sacrifice. Her mother, a kind-hearted homemaker, bustled about trying to create a warm atmosphere amidst her quiet anxieties. She shot Emma supportive smiles, but Emma could sense unease simmering just below the surface. The dinner started off well. Laughter erupted over stories from Emma's nursing adventures. Yet, with each passing moment, she could feel the tension tighten, like a coiled spring ready to snap. The chatter around the table suddenly felt forced, heavy with unsaid words. Her parents' apprehensions about Lucas, a self-made billionaire, no less festered like a wound waiting to be exposed. It didn't take long for the first well-meaning comment to spiral into an unexpected confrontation. "Are you sure he respects the simple life?" her father asked, a hint of accusation in his tone. Emma's heart dropped, but Lucas just smiled, the confident warmth in his eyes cutting through the awkwardness. Their conversations oscillated between her father's skepticism and her mother's quiet fears. "We want what's best for you, Em," her mother said. Emma felt the weight of that sentiment hit her hard. Wasn't he love enough? Before things escalated further, Lucas jumped in, his voice unexpectedly vibrant. "I'm planning a community event," he announced, his eyes twinkling with genuine passion. "We'll bring together local businesses, create a festival, and breathe life back into this town." The room froze. Emma's heart raced. She knew this was everything she believed in. Suddenly, the tension broke, replaced by uncertainty. Would her parents see Lucas as a threat or as a partner in their shared vision of community? Emma watched as their expressions transformed before her eyes. Excitement mixed with hesitation as they began considering the possibilities. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The evening carried on, but those words lingered in the air, lighting a spark of possibility. Emma's heart fluttered with hope. Would this dinner so fraught with fears turn into a bridge of understanding? She glanced at her parents, skeptical yet intrigued, as Lucas sat with open generosity. A profound shift was unfolding, but would it be enough? Emma's mind raced, feeling the tension threading through unspoken feelings. Misunderstandings still loomed, but beneath it all was the undeniable truth: love brings change, and for the first time, her family might just embrace it. Would her parents' hearts open wide enough to accept Lucas, or would they let their old prejudices stand in the way? Emma couldn't shake the hopeful energy that filled the room. As she looked between Lucas and her parents, she dared to imagine the two worlds colliding. It was electric, but the air was still thick with unspoken worries. The clinking of forks against plates became a backdrop to her swirling thoughts. "Why don't we have dessert?" Emma suggested, eager to keep the momentum going. Perhaps a sweet ending could bridge the gap. She stood, her heart pounding, and headed to the kitchen for the chocolate cake she'd baked earlier. Each step felt heavy, but as she arranged the slices on a plate, she could hear Lucas's laughter mingling with her parents' cautious tone. "I want to hear more about this festival." Her father's voice was softer now, alluding to curiosity. "How do you plan to do that?" "By engaging with the community," Lucas replied, his sincerity shining through. "I want to support the local businesses that make this town special. We can create something incredible together." Emma returned with the cake, her hands slightly trembling. She placed it on the table, her eyes darting between Lucas and her parents. They looked more animated now, like freshly watered plants pushing through the soil, but the weight of hesitation still lingered in the air. "Are you just going to throw money at this?" her father pressed, the skepticism returning like an unwelcome guest. "It takes more than cash to connect with people. I hope you realize that." Lucas nodded, unfazed, his gaze steady and calm. "I get that, Mr. Johnson. Money is just a tool. It's the heart and effort behind the project that matters. I've seen the impact community can have when people work together." Tension pushed and pulled around the table. Emma held her breath, waiting for the explosion or the embrace. She wanted this to work, for everyone to see that Lucas was more than a name in headlines. He was her partner, her love. As if sensing her need for encouragement, Lucas reached under the table and squeezed Emma's hand, grounding her in that moment. It was subtle yet powerful, giving Emma the strength to foster connections, not just between Lucas and her parents, but within herself too. She realized how much fear she had been carrying, fear of rejection, fear of disruption. "Lucas, you have a vision that excites me," Emma said, her voice steadying. "But it's going to take teamwork. You can't do this alone." Her eyes reminded Lucas of their shared dreams, and he nodded, an understanding gleaming in his eyes. Her mother chimed in hesitantly, rubbing her hands together. "I've always believed in the spirit of our community. We used to have those summer events that brought everyone together. It's been a while since we've seen that. If we could do something like that again." Her father, the stubborn man he was, leaned back slightly, considering. "And you really believe he can make it happen? What if we could work on this together?" Emma continued, heart bursting with hope. "It doesn't have to be black and white, success or failure, CEO or no. We can find a way." Lucas's smile broadened. "I would love nothing more than to collaborate with everyone in this room. Building relationships is my passion. If we all lean in, who knows what we can achieve." The silence that followed was thick, but this time it felt less like a standoff and more like a crucial pivot point. Emma noticed her mom's hand resting on her father's arm. Uncertainty gripped her heart. Would they take that step forward together? With a deep breath, her father nodded slowly. "All right, let us say we consider it. But know this, Lucas, we'll be watching closely." Emma's heart soared, the first crack showing in her parent's firm doubts. As dessert was served, laughter broke out more freely than before, and Emma couldn't help but feel that maybe, just maybe, they were beginning to see what she saw in Lucas. Still, there was lingering tension, and Emma knew they weren't out of the woods yet. She glanced at Lucas, their shared smile illuminating the room, but the question loomed: would they truly embrace this new chapter, or would old fears drag them back down? What was next for their family, and would her instincts about Lucas hold strong amidst their growing bond? Emma could hardly contain her excitement, but uncertainty loomed like a tide waiting to surge. As laughter mingled with the warm aroma of chocolate cake, Emma's heart still raced from the earlier tension. Her parents had let down their guard, if only a little, but could it last? She watched them take tentative steps into this unknown territory with Lucas. Would fear keep them from dreaming together? "So, tell us about this festival," her mother said, her voice a blend of encouragement and caution. "What is your vision?" Lucas leaned forward, a sparkle in his eyes, unyielding to their doubts. "Picture this. A weekend celebration with local vendors showcasing handmade crafts, food stalls featuring regional delicacies, and live music that makes everyone want to dance. Families could come together, reconnect, and break bread." Emma could see her mother nodding, warmth creeping into her expression. The idea was taking hold. "Sounds great, but what about the logistics?" "We don't just throw a party and hope it works," her father interjected, crossing his arms again. "We'll plan it meticulously," Lucas replied, his confidence unshakable. "I want to involve local artists, schools, anyone who wants to help. It's a community effort, not just a show put on for tourists." Those words hung in the air, and for a moment, all they could hear was the ticking clock and their own breathing. Emma could feel that spark of a budding partnership blooming, each seed planted by Lucas just maybe pushing through the soil of her parents' doubt. With her hand still clasped in his, Lucas turned toward Emma's mom. "And we would love your input. You know this town better than anyone." Emma's mom looked surprised. "You really want to hear what I have to say?" "Absolutely," Lucas replied. "Everyone in the community has their voice, and I want to make sure those voices are heard." A glimmer of hope curved Emma's lips upward. They were on the cusp of something beautiful. Her mother began to share ideas about inviting local musicians from the schools and hosting booths where kids could showcase crafts. Emma's father listened, arms now uncrossed, his brow slightly relaxed. They were engaging, contributing. Just then, a sudden knock echoed through the room that shattered their budding connection. Emma's heart sank as she glanced at the clock, too late for deliveries. Who could be knocking? Before she could get up to check, the door swung open, revealing an unexpected face. Jenny, Emma's childhood friend, stood there wide-eyed, with a bundled stack of papers in hand. The mood shifted, the room tense once more. "I'm so sorry." "I didn't know you were having dinner," Jenny said, her eyes darting between Lucas and Emma's parents. "I really need your help, Emma. It's urgent." Emma's stomach churned with uncertainty. She had hoped for a peaceful evening that would solidify this new beginning, and now here was a potential disruptor in the form of her old friend. What could be so important? Would this derail everything they had just begun? "Is everything okay?" Emma asked, concern lacing her voice as she stood. Jenny nodded, though her expression was strained. "I found something. I need to talk to you about it." Emma caught Lucas's confused glance. Was she ready to face whatever revelation Jenny brought? The air felt thick again, rippling like the surface of water moments before a storm. The room hung in uncertainty as Emma stood rooted to the spot, knowing she needed to make a choice. Embrace the new path she was carving with Lucas, or dive back into whatever old business Jenny had that could shatter this fragile moment. What secret could Jenny be harboring that threatened the happiness they had fought so hard to build? Emma's heart raced with anticipation and dread as she stepped closer to her friend. It was clear everything was about to change again. Emma took a deep breath, her heart pounding. As she looked at Jenny, the weight of the moment pressed heavily on her. The laughter and warmth of the dinner table felt like a distant memory. Anxiety gripped her insides, twisting and turning, demanding answers. "Can it wait?" Emma's voice was softer than she intended. She caught a glimpse of her parents' faces, their concern written all over them. They were just beginning to open themselves to Lucas, and now, this disruption threatened to pull them back into uncertainty. "No, it can't," Jenny replied, urgency coloring her words. "It's important. I wouldn't have come otherwise." Emma could see Lucas shift uncomfortably beside her, trying to navigate the awkwardness of being introduced into this chaotic moment. "Maybe we can," he began, but Emma interrupted him, needing to clarify. "Jenny, just tell me what it is," she urged, her voice steadying as she felt the support of Lucas by her side. With a deep breath, Jenny unfolded the stack of papers she held. "I found these documents in my mom's attic. They're old, from before your parents moved here. They're about this town, about properties that used to be owned by your family." Emma narrowed her eyes. "What do you mean?" "Your parents were part of a community project long before they ever settled here, Emma. There were promises made. Dreams." She glanced at Emma's mom, who sat frozen, her face pale. "But something happened. Your family was forced out, and the project fell apart." "What are you saying?" The words tumbled out before Emma could stop herself. "I think they're the reason your parents have held back. There's a chance to uncover the truth about why they moved. To see if this festival can be a way to mend the past," Jenny explained, her eyes pleading. "It could be a way to reconnect your family with this community." A pulse of confusion mixed with a flicker of hope surged through Emma. They hadn't talked about their past in years, vaulted memories tucked away and locked tight. She felt the tension in the room as her parents exchanged worried glances. "Is that why you're all here?" her mother whispered, her voice cracking. "To confront the past?" Lucas squeezed Emma's hand, grounding her as she shifted from disbelief to contemplation. The festival had become a symbol of unity, but could it also be a bridge to their history? "Jenny, if this is true, it changes everything," Emma said slowly. But we need to know for sure. We need to face it together. Her parents' faces reflected fear and hope, hovering on the edge of an emotional abyss. Emma felt hardened resolve forming within her. This was her chance not just to build something new, but to heal the rifts of the past. Before she could speak again, Lucas stood. It seems we have a lot to discuss. Both the festival and the past you've uncovered. Let us not leave any stones unturned. Together. All eyes turned toward him. Emma saw her mother's guarded expression soften slightly and her father's sternness begin to wane. Yet, doubt lingered in the air, twisting their moment like a knife. Could they really invest in the future when the past hung over them like a storm cloud? As they sat down, ready to unravel the layers of their shared history, Emma's mind swirled with questions. Could this be the beginning of mending their family ties, or was it opening up a whole new wound? A hidden chapter of her life was about to unfold. What truths lay ahead, and would they be able to bear the weight of these revelations? Emma's heart raced as she prepared to dive deep into the unknown. Would the past validate their dreams or shatter them entirely? Emma looked around the table, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Her parents' expressions were a mixture of fear and confusion, and Jenny's determination added to the swirling storm of emotions. She forced herself to breathe deeply, searching for clarity amidst the chaos. Okay, Emma finally said, her voice steady. What do we do first? We need to sift through these documents, see what they say, and figure out how it connects to us. She felt Lucas's reassuring grip, his silent encouragement pushing her forward. Jenny nodded, her demeanor shifting from urgency to focus. Let us sit down and go through them one by one. I have a feeling many of these are intertwined with your family's history here. They gathered closer, Jenny spreading the papers across the dining table. The tablecloth, adorned with remnants of the earlier festive dinner, now seemed stark against the weight of the discussion. As Emma leaned over the yellowing sheets, the careful script began to tell a story, a testament to dreams once cherished. Her mother hesitated, but finally reached for a document, her fingers trembling. "This one I remember this," she murmured, though her voice was barely above a whisper. Emma watched as her mother's eyes darted across the text, a wave of memories crashing into her consciousness. "We talked about a community center. Your father and I worked on it before we moved. We thought it could bring the town together. Why didn't you ever tell me about this?" Emma asked, the words tumbling out in surprise and disappointment. "Is that why you've been so hesitant about the festival?" "I wanted to protect you," her mother replied, tears welling in her eyes. "We thought we were building a future for you, and then everything fell apart. It hurt too much to revisit." Emma's heart ached as she watched the pain reflected in her mother's eyes. But with this pain came a newfound clarity. "Mom, I understand. But we can't keep running from it. If the festival is meant to unify the community, then we need to confront this together." Her father, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. "We need to find out what happened. Why were we forced out?" His brows furrowed in determination, echoing Emma's resolve. Lucas leaned in, his voice steady. "What if we turn this festival into a space not only for celebration but for healing? We can invite the community to share their stories, our stories. It could start a conversation." The room fell silent, everyone chewing on the idea, but Emma could see the flicker of hope ignite in her parents' eyes. The past wasn't just a shadow looming overhead. Maybe it could be a bridge to understanding, to connection. "I love that," Jenny said, her excitement palpable. "It could show the community that you want to engage with them, to rekindle those lost promises." "There are people who still remember," her mother nodded, taking a deep breath. "Then we must gather those stories. We need to know the truth. For us, for you, Emma." The reality of the situation began to settle, bittersweet but hopeful. Emma could feel something shift within her family, a collective resolve to face the past instead of letting it define them. They began discussing how to approach the community. Emma proposed inviting local historians and maybe even setting up an exhibit during the festival. With each idea, warmth radiated through the room, dispelling some of the darkness that had clung to them for years. But as they planned and started to laugh again, filling the air with light, amidst the shadows, Emma couldn't shake the anxiety that still clung to her. What if the stories they uncovered were too painful? What if some truths were better left buried? As they took a moment to breathe, a sudden knock at the door made everyone jump. Emma exchanged glances with Lucas and Jenny, her stomach tightening. Who could it be now? Is this unexpected visitor a harbinger of change, or could they bring more trouble to the surface? Emma felt her heart race at the unexpected knock. It echoed through the kitchen, interrupting the tentative laughter that had just begun to form. She exchanged a glance with Lucas, his brows drawn together in a mix of concern and curiosity. Should someone answer it? Her mother whispered, peering towards the door, as if uncertain of what lay beyond it. Yeah, I'll go, Emma said, unwilling to let fear dictate the moment. She stood up, her legs shaky as she crossed the room. Each step felt heavier, weighted with the significance of what they might reveal. She rested her hand on the doorknob, breathing in deeply before pulling it open. Standing on the doorstep was a man. He looked familiar, though Emma couldn't place him. Dressed in an old denim jacket and worn-out sneakers, he had a certain confidence about him. His dark eyes scanned the room behind her, landing finally on her face. Emma, right? He asked, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. Yeah, that's me. Can I help you? Emma's voice was steady, though her pulse was quickening. I'm Jake, he introduced himself, extending a hand. I grew up here, just a couple of blocks away. I heard you were digging into some old community history. Yes. We are, she replied, narrowing her eyes in suspicion, but also in curiosity. Were you part of it? Part of it? I was central to it. His eyes lit up, the warmth in them contagious. I heard about the plans for the festival. I believe it's vital we reconnect with those memories. They hold the key to moving forward. Emma stepped aside, hesitant but intrigued. Come on in. Jake entered and was quickly drawn to the scattered documents strewn across the table. He paused, glancing at the worn pages. You found these, huh? So much history lost to time. He let his fingers lightly graze the surface of a page, his voice dropping to something almost reverential. Didn't he know who to ask about this stuff? Emma admitted, feeling both vulnerable and hopeful. If you know anything, we're looking for truth. Stories from back then. His expression shifted to one of understanding. It wasn't just a community center you were building, there was a boy's home, a library, it was all part of a movement of hope. But something went terribly wrong. Emma felt shivers run down her spine. Wrong? People got scared. They feared what was changing around them. I think they started to see your family as a threat. They didn't understand, he hesitated, looking away. But I can help you uncover it. We can talk, bring in other voices. Really? You would do that? Emma felt a spark of excitement, but in the pit of her stomach, anxiety twisted. Of course. This needs to be heard, Jake said, a hardening resolve in his voice. Your family deserves closure. But it won't be easy. Emma looked back at her parents and Jenny, their expressions a mix of anticipation and uncertainty. What if those stories are too painful? She asked. What if they only deepen the scars? Maybe they do, Jake replied. But the only way through pain is together. We can hold on to the memories, learn from them. You might be surprised how healing the truth can be. As he spoke, the air thickened with possibility, yet the doubt lingered. Behind every story lay layers of hurt, and they had to be ready for what might emerge. Emma nodded slowly, the walls of fear beginning to crack. Let us do this. Let us face the past and invite people to share their stories. Just as she thought they were gaining momentum, however, a glint caught her eye from outside the window, a figure lingering at the edge of their yard. Her heart sank. Had someone overheard their plans? She gestured to Lucas, urging him to look. Who is that? Emma whispered, her voice strained as she felt a chill settle in. Something tells me they're not here for tea, Lucas murmured back, eyes narrowing. How would this uninvited presence change everything they were hopeful about? The figure outside remained shrouded in shadow, obscured by the dimming light of dusk. Emma felt the hairs on her arms prickle, a mix of dread and curiosity washing over her. The laughter and warmth that had flickered in the kitchen moments ago seemed to fade, replaced by a tension that made her throat constrict. What should we do? Jenny whispered, her eyes darting nervously between Emma and the looming presence outside. Jake shifted his weight, his body tense. "Keep talking. Don't draw attention," he advised, voice low but firm. As he kept his gaze glued to the window, Emma felt the flicker of courage stir within her. "Okay, just keep talking." She turned her attention back to Jake, willing herself to focus despite the unease gnawing at her insides. "So, this movement you mentioned, what happened to it?" He sighed, the weight of history grounding his voice. "It was vibrant for a time. Families came together, shared meals, celebrated successes. We had dreams of uniting cultures, creating a place of hope. But fear took hold of some. They thought progress marginalized their own lives. They pushed back." Emma's heart raced as anger battled with empathy. "But why? Change can be good," she said, her frustration bubbling to the surface. "People should want to come together, not tear each other apart." "That's why we need to remind them," Jake replied, locking eyes with her. "By sharing those stories, those memories, we fight back against the darkness. It has power. We can reclaim it." Another glance outside. The figure hadn't moved. What were they waiting for? Emma squirmed in her thoughts, a torrent of questions swirling in her mind. What if the stories are too much for them? Lucas finally spoke up, his voice steady, but there was a quaver behind it. "I think we have to risk it," Jake responded. "Truth can heal wounds, but the healing begins with acknowledgement. We invite the community, even the skeptics, to listen and share." Emma's heart ached at the thought. Could the community face those shadows of the past? "And if they don't want to hear?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Then we create a space where they can feel safe," Jake said, determination etched in his face. "It may not be easy, but vulnerability opens the door to change." Emma felt a spark of resolve ignite within her. "Let us gather stories then. We'll tell everyone we're meeting. We'll make it known that it's time for healing." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room, the shadows in their eyes giving way to a fleeting glimmer of hope. But just then, a rustle broke the fragile moment. The figure outside shifted, an unmistakable silhouette emerged, stepping closer into the light filtering through the window. "Who is it?" Jenny gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. Emma's tremors turned to a mix of dread and revelation as the figure stepped into view. Recognition washed over her, but she felt her stomach twist. This was not what she expected at all. The air thickened as the person raised a hand, a hesitant gesture that suddenly felt monumental. "Can we talk?" The figure called out, their voice ringing clear and steady yet laced with tension. Emma's breath caught. The familiar face opened a floodgate of emotions. What did they want? What impact would this unexpected visitor have on everything they were trying to build? And most critically, would they be ready for what came next? The tension in the room tightened around Emma as the figure outside stepped into the light. Her heart raced, drumming against her ribcage like it was trying to break free. "Evelyn," she murmured, her voice barely a whisper as she processed the familiar face of her estranged mother. The memories flooded back, both good and bad. Evelyn's eyes were wide, searching Emma's face for signs of acceptance or maybe even anger. "What are you doing here?" Emma found her voice, but it felt foreign, laced with the rawness of old wounds. "Please, let me explain," Evelyn said, her voice trembling slightly. "I know it's been a long time, but I need to talk." The group shifted uneasily. Jenny exchanged glances with Lucas and Jake, unsure of what to do. Emma felt her pulse quicken. She had yearned for this moment for years, dreamed of the closure it could bring. But now that it was real, fear surged to the forefront. "Why now?" Emma's voice caught in her throat. "After all this time?" Evelyn took a step closer, her hands clasped together like a lifeline. "Because I heard about what you're trying to do, about the stories and the healing you want to bring. I came to offer my support, if you'll have it." "Support?" Emma scoffed, fire igniting within her. "You didn't support me when it mattered. How can I trust you now?" A flicker of pain crossed Evelyn's face. "I know I made mistakes. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I'm here because I want to help. I want to do better." Emma shook her head, struggling to contain a whirlwind of emotions. "You can't just waltz back in and expect everything to change. Do you know how much I've missed you? How much the words spilled out before she could stop them, raw and vulnerable. I do know, Evelyn interrupted gently. I've thought about you every single day. Didn't he have the strength to face you until now? The room fell silent. The air was thick with unprocessed feelings. Emma's breath became shallow as memories fought for dominance. Her mother's warm embrace and his heavy silences turned into ghostly shadows hovering in the corners of her mind. What if we do this together? Jake's calming voice broke the silence. He stepped toward the two of them, eyes locked on Evelyn. Sharing stories is a powerful tool. We can weave your history into our narrative. Emma paused, glancing at Jake. Could she dare to be vulnerable enough to include her mother? But uncertainty gnawed at her. Are you saying you want her to be part of our healing journey? Emma's voice faltered, daring to entertain hope. Yes, Jake replied. But only if you're comfortable. Why should I trust you? Emma said, looking at Evelyn, emotion barely contained. Evelyn's gaze dropped to the floor, and Emma watched as her mother fought against unshed tears. Because I want to earn your trust again. This community means everything to you, and I want to learn how to be part of it. Just then, Emma felt a glimmer of something unexpected hope. It was a tentative, flickering light in her heart. But it scared her. Could she really open that door? The shadows felt heavier now, not just from the looming dusk outside, but from the weight of possibilities. Emma inhaled deeply, grappling with the enormity of it all. Okay, she finally whispered, her heart racing. I'll think about it. As she looked at Evelyn, something shifted between them. It was fragile, but real. But would that be enough to pave the way for healing in a community that had seen too much pain? And just as the first hint of dawn began to break over the horizon, a loud bang echoed from the back of the house, jolting everyone back to the present. What was that? Lucas asked, wide-eyed, glancing toward the source of the sound. The air grew thick with new tension as they all exchanged uncertain looks. Something else was about to emerge from the shadows. But what? Emma's heart thudded in her chest as another echoing crash followed the first. Uncertainty brewed like a storm in her gut. What could it be? The morning light creeping through the window offered a stark contrast to the shadows of doubt hovering over their fragile reunion. Let's check it out, Jake suggested, his voice steady and calm, the anchor Emma desperately needed. Emma exchanged worried glances with Lucas and Jenny, both equally apprehensive. She turned to face Evelyn, who looked pale, her hands trembling at her sides. There was a fleeting moment where hope shimmered between them, but fear loomed larger, ready to swallow it whole. With a deep breath, Emma nodded, gesturing to the others. Let's go. They cautiously moved through the house, the air thick with tension. Every step felt monumental. Emma's mind raced. She had longed to rebuild the bridge to her mother, but what if this moment shattered everything irrevocably? As they reached the kitchen, they saw the source of the commotion. The old wooden door leading to the backyard had swung open, slamming against the wall, rattling the entire room. A cascade of leaves whirled inside, teasing like whispers of forgotten stories begging to be told. Just the wind, Lucas said, relief washing over his face as he helped close the door. The air shifted slightly, the echoes of the past fading for a moment. Emma felt a surge of determination. Listen, she addressed Evelyn, her voice firm yet soft. If we're going to do this, we need to set some ground rules. I can't go back to where we were. I want honesty. Evelyn nodded, her eyes glistening. I want that too. I want to be real this time. Real? Emma challenged, her heart fluttering with a mix of hope and skepticism. You can't just say it. You have to mean it. I do mean it, Evelyn replied clearly, her voice imbued with sincerity. I want to learn how to navigate this gap between us. I've been too afraid for too long. Maybe we can start small, Jenny interjected gently, sensing the tension between them. Share just a glimpse of your story first. Let us ease into this. Emma appreciated Jenny's gentle coaxing. Okay. She took a deep breath, looking at Evelyn. What do you want to share? I want to tell you why I left, Evelyn said, her voice trembling. The weight of the moment clawed at Emma. This was the truth they both needed, but were they ready for it? Before Evelyn could explain, another bang jolted them from their anticipation. This time it was louder, closer. A shiver ran down Emma's spine. "What now?" Jake asked, his protective instincts flaring. "Stay here," Emma whispered, moving toward the curtained back window, pulling it slightly aside to peer into the growing daylight. Her heart raced as she strained to see beyond the fence, where shadows flitted about just out of sight. Then she saw figures rushing into the old barn, a scattering of movement that felt wrong, unsettling. "Something's happening out there," Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper. "What do you mean? Should we call someone?" Lucas asked, his eyes darting between Emma and the door. "No. I want to see for myself." Emma's tone was resolute, though her hands felt clammy with fear. This moment felt pivotal, like the doorway to everything she had long wanted, yet a murky uncertainty loomed. "Please let us be careful," Jenny urged. Looking with wide eyes. As they gathered their courage and moved to the door together, Emma felt the weight of choices pressing down on her. This moment could determine their path, shaping the fragile connections she had with her mother and her friends. They inched closer to the scenes unfolding outside. But what awaited them beyond the door? Emma braced herself for whatever truth they were about to unravel. As they stepped outside, the crisp morning air hit Emma's face like a refreshing wave, but it quickly morphed into a chill as she processed the scene before her. The barn, a structure that held remnants of her family's history, was alive with hurried activity. People were scurrying about, urgency draping over the gathering like a heavy blanket. Shadows flitted in and out of sight, but the laughter and commotion felt wildly out of place against the backdrop of their tense reunion. "What on earth is happening?" Lucas murmured, eyes narrowed in scrutiny as they crept closer. "Wait," Emma said, raising a hand. She could see a familiar face among the gathering, one of the townspeople she remembered from her childhood, Mrs. Hargrove, standing with arms crossed, directing traffic. "Let us see what's going on." As they approached, Mrs. Hargrove noticed Emma, her eyes widening with surprise and delight. "Emma, come here, dear," she beckoned, waving them over. The urgency in her voice jolted Emma, and she exchanged glances with Lucas, Jenny, and Evelyn. "Is everything okay?" Emma asked as they stepped into the barn's threshold, the familiar scent of hay and wood dust flooding her senses. Mrs. Hargrove chuckled nervously, the glint of excitement in her eyes overshadowing any trepidation. "We're preparing for something special. We heard you're planning the festival, and we wanted to get involved. It's time to bring back the old community spirit." Emma's brow furrowed with confusion but also surprise. "You all know about the festival?" Word travels fast in a small town, an older man chimed in, shuffling over with a few others. "We realized how important it is to reconnect and not just reminisce about the past, but to recreate it." Evelyn's eyes widened in disbelief. "You all want to help?" "We do," Mrs. Hargrove declared. "This community has been missing its heartbeat, and your revival could be the spark we need. We've got ideas, resources, we want to do this together." Emma felt a tide of emotion surging through her. What had begun as a hopeful yet daunting journey was now blossoming into something larger, a true community revival. The weight of doubt clashed with the crackling energy surrounding her. Could they really come together? She glanced at Lucas, whose expression mirrored her determination. "Imagine if we not only held the festival to celebrate together, but also showcase the stories and dreams that built this town in the first place," he suggested, his voice charged with enthusiasm. "Yes!" the crowd echoed in fervor. It felt electric. Jake stepped forward, a grin breaking across his face. "Let us not just reminisce. Let us open the door for healing. I'll help organize meetings, gather stories, everyone should be heard." Emma felt her mother's warmth beside her. "I can reach out to the local artist groups," Evelyn added, her voice clearer, infused with newfound resolution. "This community is everything to me, and I don't plan to let it slip away again." With each voice chiming in, Emma's heart swelled. This was the moment she had hoped for, where past and present collided to create a brighter future. A festival until now just an idea was becoming a living, breathing project, stitched together by the very community that had once been torn apart. "Let us set a date," Emma declared, unable to conceal her excitement. Let us gather stories, create booths, reunite families, bring food, music, the works. The crowd erupted with cheers. Her parents and Lucas's eyes sparkled with faith, and the earlier tension faded. Their plan was unfolding, connecting every dot of the intricate tapestry of their shared history. As the sun climbed higher, illuminating their newfound unity, Emma looked at Evelyn, their eyes locking. "Thank you for being brave," she said, recognizing the journey they would both undertake, with laughter, excitement, and remnants of hope threading them closer. They discussed plans anew. Every detail blossomed like vibrant petals in spring. Joy echoed through the barn as the community began to foster the very connection that had been absent for too long. This was the shift Emma had longed for, the moment that transformed not just her past, but the futures of everyone involved. No longer bound by fear, they stood on the brink of a heartwarming revival, a splendid reunion, not just of families, but of dreams. "Let us make this festival a celebration of you, me, all of us," Emma said, her voice capturing the overwhelming warmth that radiated from them all. The full weight of love, determination, and renewal hung around them. As they rallied together, Emma felt the perfect blend of hope and excitement, knowing that against all odds, they had found strength in reconnecting and rediscovering one another. And right then, with newfound courage sparking their hearts and an entire community at their backs, Emma realized this was just the beginning. You need to subscribe now to keep our story going. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread the love. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming transformation. Share instantly this chapter with at least 5 friends who need to see how love and community can heal and unite. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the joy. Your support is everything.